السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. وبعد، يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد. Always and forever we begin with the praise of Allah. We send our prayers of peace upon our Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We testify with firmness and conviction that none is worthy of worship but Allah, that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his worshipping slave and final messenger. I continue to remind myself and you of taqwallah azza wa jal. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspires us to a piety that leads us to loving Him and fearing Him and having hope in His mercy in a greater capacity in our private life than what we seek to show each other publicly. Allahumma ameen. I am honored to take part in the Islam in Practice Conference here in Sydney for 2017. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sends His angels upon us and descends His light and sakeenah and tranquility into the hearts and lives of each and every one of us. I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala returns us to our homes, especially those of us, Jazakumullah khair, our international speakers, to your homes with an added increase in your health and your wealth and your prosperity. Allahumma ameen. So I have 20 minutes. It's a short time to talk about anything. But insha'Allah, I'm hoping that we can have a good time. You guys look stressed today. Just relax. I'll take good care of you, insha'Allah. Lean back, insha'Allah. Enjoy yourselves. We're here talking about Allah's rahmah. And whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about knowledge, He talks about rahmah. آتَيْنَاهُ مِن لَدُنَّا رَحْمَةً مِنْ عِنْدِنَا وَعَلَّمْنَاهُ مِن لَدُنَّا عِلْمًا. The ilm that Allah sends in your heart that you absorb and practice is the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you pray for. So let's enjoy each other's company bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Now, I set up, I don't know where to click. Where do I click at here? Just the red one? Red? I'm pressing right. Oh, there we go. All right. I'm going to use you when you see me click on it. Inshallah. Allah barakatuh. So we'll have two remotes today. All right. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the home, the heart, and family. Especially this word family. It's a very contentious word lately in Australian politics today. We want to talk about Quranic similitudes. What do I mean by this? One of the greatest emphasis that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has established for us in the Quran is that He has taken great care in speaking about family structures. It's impossible for you to study the Quran, to read the Quran, to look into any juz in the Quran and that you don't see that Allah gives a reference to some type of family structure. And therefore, when you look into the family structure of the Prophet ﷺ himself as a person and the lifestyle of the prophets before him, you see that anything you can conjure up, any kind of family similitude or parable, it's associated for you in the Quran. If you want to see a husband and wife cooperating in truth, Ibrahim and Sarah, Ibrahim and Hajar. If you want to see a great man and a terrible woman, there's Nuh and his wife, Lut and his wife. If you want to see an amazing woman and a tyrannical, abusive, disgusting man, you see Asiyah, the wife of Fir'aun. You want to see a single mother raising a child on her own, Maryam, alayha salam, the mother of Isa. You want to see a great daughter raised up in a beautiful household, Maryam, the daughter of Hinna and the daughter of Imran. You want to see daughters who are raised by a single father, there's Lut and his daughters. You want to see the example of an amazing son-father relationship? You see Ibrahim and Ismail, Ibrahim and Ishaq. You see Yaqub and Yusuf. You want to see brothers who hate each other or hate one of them? There's Yusuf and his brothers. You want to see brothers who walk a path of righteousness? Musa and Harun. You want to see any example that you give, there's an example of it in the Quran. And where there's something missing, it's made up in the lifestyle of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ married a woman who was Arabic, from his culture, from his people, speaks his language. He married a woman who is Ajami, who's from different culture, Maria al-Qibtiyya. He married a woman who was of his faith, and he married a woman who came from a different faith into his faith, Safiya bint Huyay, who was a Jewish woman who came into Islam and married the Prophet ﷺ. He married a woman who was much older than him and advanced in age. He married a woman who was a widow, a woman who was previously divorced, a woman who had never known a man before him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He married one who was younger than him, one who was older than him, one who was wealthier than him, and one who was poorer than him. He married a woman who had many children and dependents like Salama. He married a woman who had grown min al-ya'as, grown so old in age that she no longer needed physical comfort from him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He married women by direct discussion, and he married through proxy, and he married by sending an invitation to someone in another country to come and join him in Al-Madinah and meet his wife, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Families have always been a direct, important, contextualized study in the Quran and the tradition of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because when families are looked after, when Allah tells you what is a family, and He gives you all these examples, and He excludes others, it's a way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala teaching you mafhum bil mukhalif. This is what it is, and this isn't what it could ever be. So there's something called a blessed union. The Prophet ﷺ symbolizes it in a very simple word. He said, إِنَّكُمْ أَخَذْتُمُوهُنَّ بِكَلِمَةِ اللَّهِ. What makes your nikah halal? What makes my wife my wife? It's a word. It's a big word. It's one word. قَبِلْتُ. I accept. What do you accept? I accept everything. I accept financial responsibility, physical duties, standing qa'im in maintenance and in support and in love and in deference and fidelity and honor. I stand to be your husband. I stand to be your wife. Through illness and health, through happiness and sorrow, through hardship and ease, through youth and into maturity. That was the conceptualization of a blessed union. Who's the one who consecrates it? It's not that there isn't an ability for a man and woman to come together and act out what could be a life of marriage. It can only become marriage if it's consecrated through a holy injunction and matrimony by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us as Muslims. And therefore, أَخَذْتُمُوهُنَّ بِكَلِمَةِ إِلَّهِ. Because of a word, you didn't make amongst each other. You didn't just meet each other and say, hey, let's live together. You didn't just say, listen, I'll look after the bills and, we kind of just live together. No, it's a word. It's a promise. It's a deed. It's a handshake. Kalimatillah, that you made as a vow between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore, anything that is bereft of that blessing, anything that isn't consecrated in the way and in the tradition that we as Muslims have, it can go on, but not in a blessed union, not defined in the way and tradition of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So everyone's free to choose who they want to live with. Everyone's free to choose who they have as a sexual partner. Everyone is free and choose to do whatever they like. But no one is able and capable to change what is not blessed by Allah to make it blessed. To make what is seen as illegitimate, legitimate. Finally, when we begin speaking about the home and the heart and the family, we have to ask the question, أين تسكن? أين تسكن? That's a way in Arabic, if someone sees me, hey Shaykh Yahya, أنت ساكن فين? أين تسكن? It's not where do you live. It's where do you find sukoon? Where do you find tranquility? See, the concept of a maskan, a place of tranquility, an abode of mercy, is the conceptualization of the blessed union that is built on the structures of the Quran as was practiced and taught in the way of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. And therefore, as an initial warning in these very few minutes that I say to you, that if you ask yourself, where do I find tranquility? If it is not in your home, then the problem isn't with anyone else other than those who live in it. What makes up your home? Is it the bricks? Is it the address? You know, they say location, location, location. No. Is it what street, how big your home is, how many bedrooms, how much it costs, how nice its furnishings? Is that what will give you sukoon? Is that what will provide tranquility? Or is it home is where the heart is? And therefore I can tell you some of the blessed relationships that have brought out the greatest khayr were people who at times slept on a mattress, not even a bed. Prophet ﷺ in Sahih al-Bukhari, Umar radiallahu anhu walked in and his back was marked by the wicker and by the leaves that were protruding from the pillow and the mattress that he was sleeping on. He used to sleep on straw and date palm leaves, and they had etched and scratched his back. And Umar, when he saw the Prophet ﷺ's back, he wept. And he said, the kings of Kisra, the kings of the Romans, the kings, the Aqbat of Egypt, they have and they have and they have. And my Nabi, the final Messenger ﷺ, his back is marked in this way. The Prophet ﷺ said, Mali walid dunya. What do I want from this dunya? It's not about the home. It's about the sukoon in the home. And I want you to understand that you and I today, as poor as we are, you might think to yourself, subhanAllah, we have a very modest home, we have, you're wealthier than Fir'aun. Fir'aun had a button to turn on AC. He could just click air conditioning. He could turn on a tap and get cold water like you. He could press a heater and get hot water shower whenever he wanted. Could he sit in one of those nice air-conditioned cars that you and I say, oh, subhanAllah, my car is 10 years old, brother, I need a new car. No. Even, those mighty, mighty people that Allah gives us as an example, we've exceeded them in some of the ni'mah that we mistake as being nothing. Did he have these nice clothes that we have? You think Fir'aun had that? He had the gold and the opulence. But did he have the simple comfort? Could he walk into a hospital and get the surgery you can get free of charge? Did he have penicillin? Did he have your Panadol and aspirin? See, these are things. Did he have a flushing toilet? Ali radiallahu anhu wa ardah. He walked out of al-khala, a place where you go to use your bathroom. And when he entered upon the tabi'een, he put his hand on his stomach and he said, نِعْمَةً قَبْلَ مَنْ يَذْكُرُهَا. I've just fulfilled one of the greatest blessings Allah has given us. The ability to go to the bathroom unaided, without difficulty. It's a ni'mah that few people think of this blessing. May I click you, bro? So we're going to talk a little bit about the dynamics of tranquility. When we talk about tranquility and sukoon, I want to focus on three things. The first of them is my ability to understand, to adhere to monitoring myself as a leader. If I want to be a leader in my home, and I'm not talking about husband or wife, who's the leader? A leader in whatever capacity. My wife, she has certain things she's the leader in my home. My wife, she's a practicing attorney. She's a lawyer. She has a degree in accounting. Do you think I do the taxes in the house? You say, move over, woman. Let me handle this business. This is man's business. I'm the man. I'm going to do the taxes. Or do I leave it to an accountant who has a law degree? She's the leader. That's her job. That's her expertise. That's what she does. And therefore, when we begin talking about it, I want you to think of it, everything that I'm going to say from this moment on in those terms. What is this dynamic that I'm speaking about? The first thing, the ability to observe yourself. You've got to look at yourself. Most of us, the greatest problems we have, we look at the other person first. Whenever I sit subhanAllah, between a husband and wife, they're having a little bit of touch, a little bit of difficulty. The first thing he said, Wallahi, akhi, you know what she... I said, no, we'll talk about her later. How about, you know what I... No one likes to say that. You know what I... You know how I provoked her? You know how I came home late and didn't give her warning I'm going to be late? You know how I threw my laundry on the floor and expected it that the maid in the hotel that I live in and call home and expected to be sukoon picked it up miraculously overnight? Somehow, there's a leprechaun who picks up my clothes and washes it. I'm just waiting to find that pot of gold eventually. There's never you know I, it's always you know they. You know what she, you know what he said? And therefore one of the first things, one of the first most important dynamics is to begin thinking about observing yourself. And that was Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That was Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He had a rip in his clothes, what does he do? He doesn't say, hey Aisha, can you fix this? First thing he does is tries. The hadith of Abu Dawood, it's a really beautiful hadith. Aisha radiallahu anha, she said the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it was a really hot day, there's no air condition like you and I have, mashallah, this barakah. He's sitting in a hot day in Medina, and she says he's sweating while he's sewing his clothes. All of us know the hadith, he sews. But look at the context, look at the love, look at the sukoon in the house. He's sitting in the corner of the house, trying to sew his clothes. And subhanAllah, he's not very good at sewing clothes, so he's concentrating. And when you're concentrating, and when it's hot, he begins to sweat profusely, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sitting there, concentrating. Aisha radiallahu anha, she's at the other side of the room, she's amused. She says, I'm watching him from a distance, and I'm smiling at what I see of him. فَرَفَعَ رَأْسَهُ فَنَظَرَ إِلَيْهِ. He put his head up like almost frustrated, and he saw me أَتَبَسَّمْ, smiling. فَقَالَ مِمَّا تَضْحَكِينَ. What are you laughing at? Why are you so amused? She said, Ya Rasulullah, تَذَكَّرْ. O Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I only smiled because I remembered the words of poetry of that poet. It's a pre-Islamic poem who said that the sweat on your brow is more precious than the pearls in the oceans. فَوَضَعَ. The Prophet left everything. وَجَاءَنِي. And came and sat next to me sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَقَبَّلَ رَأْسِي. And kissed my head sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَقَالَ أَنْتِ أَكْثَرَ لِي مِنْ ذَلِكَ عَائِشَةً. Aisha, what are you talking about? I'm only pearls to you? Is that all I am to you? You are much more important to me than those pearls. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Sukoon. It's about monitoring yourself. That leads you to beginning to develop certain principles in your home. Once you can start thinking about, it's not what I'm going to receive. What do I expect you to do for me? It's not about that. Now you begin to think about, how do we behave with each other? What are some of the principles that we are clearly agreeing on, and what are the boundaries that we discussed with each other that are clearly communicated? And third and finally, amending. You know, your life today is one thing, but 2018 might be something else. Your wife today, mashallah, she might be carrying a child. Next week, she's given birth. Next year, another child. Your children, your job is secure this week. Next year, I might come back. May Allah give us the life and energy to visit each other in this khayr. Next year, I come back and you're without a job. You've downsized your car. You've had to make transitions. You have to be amendable, adaptable, able to transition your life. That way, you'll be able to manage how to react and how to continue to deal with the stresses of life. Sometimes I do drug prevention programs, and one of the first things that I say to our young people is the people that get associated with drugs, the number one reason they get associated with it is there's a lack of family structure, there's stresses in the family situation, but most importantly is they don't know how to deal with it. That stress that's there, you don't know how to work it out, so it overwhelms you. I need some kind of relief. 96%, This is from the March Economist 2017. 96% in this survey of Australian couples have not had a partner that they have been intimate with except under the influence of some kind of stimulant. They've drunk a cup of wine, they've smoked something, they've eaten something. 96% of the time in Australia that a man and woman come together, they're under the influence of something. Why? Because of stress. There's no sukoon. There's no tranquility. The final screen that I want to look at with you, inshallah, so that I don't overstep my time with others, is we spoke about observing ourselves. It's observing our dealings with one another. And I want you to think of these kind of statements. The first thing is, it all starts with you. It's not about anyone else. It begins with you and ends with you. And when you set yourself aright, it forces others to come around. Number two, you have to live by an example. And the greatest example for you, the one that you and I open the books and study and listen to his seerah, needs to be the one whose life we seek to live. It's not enough to just hear that the Prophet ﷺ, mashallah, he used to pray sunnah, or he prayed at night, or mashallah, the Prophet was generous. No, now you need to live by that example. Number three, to be present in your home. And there's a difference between being in your home and being present in your home. I can be with you, but I'm on my phone, so I'm actually with someone else. I'm physically with you, but I'm not attached to you. I'm not a part of what's happening. And being present is that you, in mind, body, and soul, are attached to the other people with you at that point in time. Finally, and second to last, be intentional. The Prophet ﷺ, when he says, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, people misunderstand this hadith. It's not about salah, oh, you're only going to get the reward of your amal. That. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ is a promise from the Prophet, a promise from Allah. وَإِنَّمَا لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مَا نَوَى. Whatever you've been true in your intention, you will get it. If you intend to be an amazing wife, an awesome husband, an outstanding father, if that's your niyyah, if you're going to shift mountains to make it a reality, and that became your ikhlas, you'll have it. That's the promise of Allah. You want to be rich? You'll be rich. You want to be successful? You want to finish university? You'll finish university. What is your intention? What is your niyyah? Is what you will achieve in life. Finally, and with my humble apologies for not having enough time to continue, inshallah, one of the most important principles that I leave you with, that will help you as a father, as a mother, as a husband, and as a wife, is to say what you mean and mean what you say. Don't ever say anything unless you actually mean it. Because nothing is worse than you say that and say, oh, I didn't really mean it. Nothing is worse than you make a promise to your kids and say, oh, inshallah. And they know you don't mean it. You're just saying using Allah's name and they know you don't actually mean it. What you mean, say it. If you don't mean it, don't say it. And what you say, be sure to follow through and own it. Mean it. It will clear up 90% of the hostility in your household. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those who are living examples of khayr and to give us the dua of the prophets of Allah, the past and pious predecessors. رَبَّنَا هَبْ لَنَا مِنْ أَزْوَاجِنَا وَذُرِّيَّاتِنَا قُرَّةَ أَعْيُنٍ وَاجْعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا وصل اللهم وسلم وزد وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله
وبركاته. Thank you, Brother Yahya, for beautiful presentation. Can I please call upon Brother